Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests, please join me in welcoming Alex Brown as he educates us on chairing a meeting with confidence. Chairing a meeting with confidence. Alex Brown.
Fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. Can you see the screen that I've put up? Give me a thumbs up if you can.
Yes.
Great. Okay, I have a question for everyone in the audience. I can't see everyone, unfortunately, but I'd like a show of hands for those who have not before actually chaired a business meeting. I chaired one of our Toastmasters meetings. Just a show of hands if you've chaired a meeting or not, or if you have not chaired a meeting. Okay, I didn't see a lot of hands there, which is a good thing because our club needs a lot of people, a lot of its members to chair meetings. But my mission today is to provide insight to those who did put up their hands primarily on how to conduct, how to be a chair of a meeting. Now, Toastmasters International has a special project. The cover of the slide, which I have in front of you, is how to conduct productive meetings. It's part of the Success Leadership series. I have adapted the slide module for myself because a lot of this Toastmasters products are very long and they just don't fit into the time frames we have. And besides that, I wish only to give you what you need in order to be able to conduct meetings at our club. There's a lot more to running meetings than that, but for those of you who have never run a meeting before, we have to learn how to walk before we can run. Now, meetings are a lot of trouble and work to set up. And it's one reason why a lot of people do shy away from them. But they can also be a lot of fun if you follow the proper principles. Now, to guide these principles on this, I have a saying that I'd like to show you right now. This comes from Sun Tzu on The Art of War. All battles are won before they are fought. Now, battles are basically a set of activities that go together to produce an outcome, and so is a meeting. And essentially what Sun Tzu is telling everyone is if you prepare well enough in advance, you will achieve your objectives. And so goes with meetings. If you prepare for your meeting well in advance, you will have a meeting that runs very smoothly. It will not be without hiccups. There's always some. But if you can prepare for your meeting, the chances of your success rise dramatically as if you do not. So what do we do here? Well, first we need some tools to go with. And these are the basic tools that each of us has when we go take on the role of chair. The first is Easy Speak. Now, if you don't know about Easy Speak, you should find out about it. Because Easy Speak gives you a list of all of the people that are committed to roles. It also sets out an agenda. If you add the timing into the agenda, at the end of the day, you get an automatic agenda which you can print out and distribute to the members. In the past, before we had Easy Speak, the club had a standard agenda format which we all had to fill out manually to make it work. And sometimes there were errors in terms of timings. There are still errors, but there's a lot less of them with Easy Speak. Robert's Rules of Orders are something that you will only come across if you have a business meeting, which isn't that often. And if there is a case, you will have to have the option of designating somebody such as a parliamaster, as they're called, who will help you by being an expert in Robert's Rules. There are a few of us in this club that can do this role, and your job as chair is to find them and delegate them. You also have your VP of Education and your Pres, who will help you set up the meeting and help guide you through the process if you have any questions. And finally, you have the members, the people that will participate in the meeting and help you make it a success. Now, before the meeting, there are a number of functions that you have to deal with. The first is to fill all the roles. Now, typically, a lot of these roles are filled beforehand. People will volunteer to do speeches or commit to roles in weeks before. They'll go on Easy Speak themselves, excuse me, to establish a timing. Mostly it's the speakers that will fill in these roles. Also, during the previous meeting, the chair of it will seek to fill as many roles of the meeting as possible. Presumably, you will be left with a few outstanding roles that you must canvass and members for, but you must fill all the roles. Following this, you need input from the Vice President of Education and the President if there are any business items to be followed. Typically, these will require that you set aside time during the business portion of the meeting, which will affect the timing of the meeting, which you have to work with. And of course, there's a theme. Tonight, theme was Dreams by Mark Poole. You can have a theme that is set according to what's going on at the moment in the wider world, or something more specific. Finally, you must develop and distribute the agenda once all the roles are filled. Now, Easy Speak makes this very easy for you because once all the roles are filled, there's an automatic agenda set created, which you can then distribute to the members. And finally, once you've got all this together in the last 1 or 2 days before the actual meeting, you must monitor last-minute changes. It's possible that somebody might have to drop out, in which case you will have to find somebody to replace them. Speakers sometimes can't show up for reasons, and you must adjust the schedule. There's always last-minute little things like this. Requires a little bit of attention every day. Not a lot, but you have to stay on top of it. During the meeting, as chair, you should arrive early and ensure all the roles are filled before the meeting starts. Now, this applies not only when you have an in-person meeting, but also to the Zoom meetings. It is always possible at the last minute that somebody doesn't show up that said they would and didn't tell you when they dropped out. It always happens. Second thing during the meeting is you will always open and close the meeting. These are simple formats which you've seen Mark Poole do today. It's very easy to do these things. And also, because you're handing over the control generally to all of the members as the meeting goes through, there's very little for you to do. At this stage, it's mostly up to everybody else, except for the conduct of the meeting, of the business meeting, which requires that you deal with a number of factors, which include filling the roles for the coming week as much as you can. Now, paramount of all of this is that the meeting must be conducted according to the schedule. We have a time limit on everything on this meeting. The meeting is supposed to last for about 2 hours and 15 minutes, maybe a little longer, maximum 2.5 hours. It is very important that the meeting not go over, and you can go under the time limit, but typically what happens if you do have a scheduling problem, you must make adjustments on the fly. Now, there are a number of do's and don'ts for the chair. Firstly, it's okay for you to put your stamp on it, to put your own personality into the meeting. You can come in with your theme, you can dress up, you can put on a hat, you can make people laugh with jokes, you can do any of this. There's nothing to stop you from doing this. In fact, you add to the fun of the meeting by this. But remember, always stay on time. Do not go over at any length. It is also necessary for you to be flexible. It may be the case that speakers go over time, in which case you may have to cut down on the break or even cut back on other things such as table topics. Number 4, never leave any of the roles unfilled. All of the roles serve a purpose in the meeting. They're all important functions, and you must make sure that they are always filled. And never stray very far from the schedule. You may add or delete a few minor things, but the club members expect you to follow the schedule because that's what you've said. If you do not follow the schedule as on the list, you will reduce the amount of satisfaction and cause a fair amount of confusion. In conclusion, I would like to say that meetings are a lot of work, but also an immense learning tool. And these lessons are transferable. You can use them wherever you go. Most Toastmasters clubs run meetings the same way that we do. In addition to that, the lessons that you will learn here in Toastmasters are also transferable to industry, to your work. The meeting structures may be different, the meeting sizes may be different, but again, the structure, what you want to accomplish will be very similar. Finally, well-planned meetings can be a lot of fun. And I encourage all the new members of this club, all those who have not done chaired roles in the past, to take on the roles in the future. We have people here who can help guide you through this, and it's a fun experience. And I've done it many times right now in the past. I don't do a lot of chair roles at the meetings, chair roles right now. I prefer to leave all that fun to the rest of you. Madam Toastmaster.